Hello and welcome to this video on racking beer to kegs from a fermenter and force carbonating to create the best carbonated beer. You'll need a list of items. You'll need a fermenter with cold crash beer, a sanitised purge keg with fining in the bottom. I use gelatin, or you can add this afterwards, but there is an added risk of oxidation doing it this way. A sanitised beer hose and a beer out disconnect, and either a beer hose connected to a gas disconnect or an auto off keg filler from Kegland. Kegland sell them, but I got one from the malt miller. Also need a sanitizer to spray everything that touches the beer. Now with a clean sanitised keg, connect the beer out disconnect to the beer line and flush out any remaining sanitizer and CO2. You can use this process to flush out the beer line and to flush out the fermenter tap. So you see I'm just flushing out the tap and spraying some sanitizer in it as well. And then once that's finished, when the pressure lowers, I can just add the end of the hose onto the fermenter tap and ready to go. Now it's time to add the gelatin finings or whatever finings you're using into the keg. Simply a case of emptying the finings into the bottom of the keg, putting the lid back on, and then repurging the keg to remove any oxygen from the headspace in the keg. This removes any chance of oxidation of your beer and spoilage. Here I'm propping the keg on a piece of 3x2 just to get the keg at around about a 35-degree angle. Here I'm showing you the Kegland automatic off beer stop disconnect that goes onto the gas in post. Basically what happens is you put the keg at a 35-degree angle. I just prop it up on a piece of 3x2. It holds it at an angle. This goes on the low side. Then as you can see, the float inside the sight glass, as soon as it fills with beer, that goes to the top, stops the flow, beer going into the fermenter, which stops the siphon process. The Kegland Flow Stopper is available from many popular UK stockists. It's a great little device that makes transferring your finished beer to kegs really easy, almost automated. To use it, it's a simple task of attaching it to the grey gas disconnect, then attaching it to the output gas post of your keg. It works by stopping the flow of beer when the keg is full. The internal float rises to block the flow of beer and prevent further liquid exiting the gas post. You can literally set and forget and fill kegs automatically without the risk of kegs overflowing all over the floor. However, in my experience, these claims of automatically stopping the flow of beer have not been reliable. I've had a couple of occasions where the float hasn't made the necessary seal to stop the flow of beer, and I've ended up with a small amount of beer on the floor. I've had a couple of these moments when you can hear running water and wonder where it's coming from. Oh shoot! To avoid this, and I use a bit of extra hose to allow me to run any excess to an elevated jug. Make sure you don't put the jug lower than the fermenter, else you might come back to an empty keg and fermenter and a wet floor through the siphoning action. Oh shoot! Right, now back to the kegging. Put the Kegland Flow Stopper on the gas outpost. You'll hear a little hiss coming out from the automatic keg filler. That's just releasing the excess pressure inside the keg, and then I open the fermenter tap. All that's happening is the beer flows in to the keg, fills up from the bottom up because it's going into the beer outline. Beer is then gently filling from the bottom, pushing the CO2 out of the top, and eventually it gets to the gas post, and because it's at an angle, it fills the sight glass up, the stop goes to the top, it cuts off the flow and it stops the siphon process, or at least it should. Oh shoot! Another alternative is to use the gas disconnect connected to a length of 3/8 hose and some beer line. Now all I've done here is connected it to the gas connect, and then what I do is I run it to the top of the fermenter and put it through the bung for the airlock, and this creates a rather Heath Robinson O2 free transfer solution for racking your beer from a keg in an O2 free environment. This works with beer going into the bottom of the keg, pushing CO2 out onto the top of the fermenter. When the gas line is connected to the top of the fermenter, turn the tap on, ensure that there's beer flowing into the keg, and just leave it to fill up. To avoid any overspills and mess, ensure you keep a vigilant eye on the filling process. A good fill weight is 23.5 to 24 kg. With the keg filled with fine beer, gelatin solution in, it's time to put the keg into the kegerator and purge the headspace. Start to carbonate the beer. With the keg in the kegerator, connect the CO2 to the keg gas impost. Here you can hear the gas flowing into the keg under high pressure. Purge the keg by pulling on the PRV pressure release valve 3 times, and then check for any leaks. Use a foaming sanitizer or some soapy water. It's best to spray and then look for bubbles. Now it's time to force carbonate the beer. With a cold beer at 4 degrees or under, set the regulator to 40 psi. For a perfectly carbonated beer, leave the pressure on the beer for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours at 40 psi, reduce the regulator to serving pressure, which is normally around 12 psi, and then burp the keg to release any excess pressure, because there will still be 40 psi until you burp the keg. When the keg's burped, you can start to serve the beer immediately, however it will definitely improve over the course of a week to 10 days. Here you can see the clear beer 24 hours later. It's carbonated, it's fined, and it's looking pin bright. Here you can see how bright the beer is, pin bright, nice levels of clarity, a good stream of bubbles coming up from the bottom of the glass, and a nice white pillowy head with good retention. This is what you can expect out of forced carbonated beer.